And after the lecture, we will able to learn about, we can explain the concept about fossil fuel. We can explain petroleum as a mixture of some organic compounds, and we can explain the use of petroleum. Dear students, what you can see in the picture, yes, it is a lowland areas, a flood affected areas. And you see some aquatic life here, some plant, these are called algae. They have chlorophyll in their body. So using the photosynthesis process, they can make their own food. These are the example of some algae. And dear students, these are the species, these are the living organism. They are known as fungi. These are the example of fungi. These are some fungi. And dear students, these are the example of the combination of algae and fungi. The combination of algae and fungi. You see, this part, it is the combination of algae and fungi. This part is the combination of algae and fungi, and this combination is known as lichen. Lichen. So lichen is a composite organism where algae and fungi, both of them are present. You see here, these are algae, these are fungi, and these are known as lichen. It is the combination of algae and fungi. Here, the algae produce food and provide food or produce food, and the fungi give the shelter of the algae. So it is one kind of symbiosis process. Now, dear students, you can see some material. These are some material. The name of the materials are this one is sand, this one is silt, and this one is clay. Only they have difference in their composition and also the size of the particle. If we consider the diameter of the sand particle is like, if we consider the sand particle, if we consider their diameter like this, and if we consider the clay particle, these are very fine particle, these are very, very tiny particle. And if we consider the silt, it will be their diameter. The diameter is like this. So sand particle is very large particle, and the clay particle, they are very fine particle, and the silt particle, they are in between the sand and the clay particle. So what is the composition of silt? Dear students, silt is nothing but the granular material, and they have the size in between the sand and the clay, and some chemical present in silt, and they are known as quartz. Quartz is nothing but SiO2. Dear students, SiO2 means silicon dioxide. Silicon dioxide, it is known as quartz. It is a crystalline form of silicon dioxide. It is a solid material. And also some chemical present in silt, and that is known as feldspar. Feldspar is a chemical. There are so many type of feldspar. The common feldspar is the potash feldspar. Dear students, potash feldspar. And what is the formula of potash feldspar? If I write here, then it will be like A2O, potassium oxide, Al2O3, aluminum oxide, and then we have 6H2O, 6 molecule of water. This one is potash feldspar. As potassium metal present here, so it is called potash feldspar. And then we have soda feldspar. Soda feldspar is Na2O, sodium oxide, then Al2O3, aluminum oxide, and 6H2O. This one is the example of soda feldspar. So what is the composition of silt? The answer is very simple. In silt, silicon dioxide is present, and feldspar is present. The formula of silicon dioxide, SiO2, and the formula of potash feldspar, it is the formula of potash feldspar, and it is the formula of soda feldspar. So dear students, we have three different material here. Some are known as sand, some are known as clay, and some are known as silt. Now, some information from the very beginning of the chapter, and that is the earth is about 5.4 billion years old. The earth is about 5.4 billion years old. It is information. Another information for you, that is carbon is the major component of coal. You see, this one is coal, this one is coal, and carbon is the major carbon is the major component of coal. This one is material, this one is known as coal. And which element present in the coal? The answer is very simple. It is carbon. You know, there are 118 elements already discovered, and carbon is one of them. And this carbon present in coal. Now, another information for you, dear students, that is hydrocarbon. That is hydrocarbon. So, what is hydrocarbon? Basically, hydrocarbon is a compound. Hydrocarbon is nothing but hydrocarbon is a compound where only carbon and hydrogen, two elements present. Hydrocarbon is a compound and where carbon and hydrogen, these two elements present. And you see, this one is the example of petroleum, and this one is the example of natural gas. This one is the example of petroleum, and this one is the example of natural gas. And dear students, petroleum, this petroleum and this natural gas, these are nothing but the mixture of some hydrocarbon. So what is hydrocarbon, dear students? Hydrocarbon is nothing but a compound and where only carbon and hydrogen, these two elements will be present. Carbon element, hydrogen is another element, and these two elements will be present in hydrocarbon. We can give an example like CH4. This one is a hydrocarbon. The name of the hydrocarbon is methane, and you see here carbon is present and hydrogen is present. And if you are given another compound whose formula is like this, CH3OH, the name of the compound is methanol. Here carbon is present, here hydrogen is present, but this one is not hydrocarbon. Why? Because another element present here, and that is known as oxygen. So to become a hydrocarbon, only two elements will be present there. One element will be carbon and another element will be hydrogen. Here oxygen is present, so this one is not hydrocarbon. So just methane is hydrocarbon. And in our left side, petroleum is present, and this one is the source of natural gas. So here, this petroleum and this natural gas, these are the mixture of some hydrocarbon. That means different type of hydrocarbon present in petroleum, different type of hydrocarbon with different composition present in natural gas. I hope students, you understand it. Now, dear students, we see some organic compound. The name of the compound is alcohol. So alcohol is the example of organic compound. Alcohol is an organic compound. This one is the example of alcohol. The name of the alcohol is C2H5OH. It is called ethanol. This one is used as solvent, as hot drinks, and so many purposes. We can use the alcohol. And in the hand sanitizer, a chemical that is used, the name of the alcohol is IPA. IPA means isopropyl alcohol. So ethanol, isopropyl alcohol, these are the example of alcohol. And alcohol, it is organic compound. And in the right side, some alcohol present here. The name of the alcohol is ethylene glycol. The name of the alcohol is ethylene glycol. And ethylene glycol is widely used as a solvent. In the ballpoint pen, we used this alcohol as a solvent. This alcohol is a antifreeze. So dear students, we see some organic compound. The name of the organic compound is alcohol. This one is alcohol known as ethanol. In hand sanitizer, alcohol is also present. The name of the alcohol is IPA or isopropyl alcohol. And in the right side, some alcohol that is known as, it is a transparent liquid. The name of the alcohol is ethylene glycol, and that is used in the ballpoint pen. Now, dear students, we see some new organic compound. They are known as aldehyde and ketone. So aldehyde, it is the name of organic compound. Ketone is another organic compounds. So you see some drug here. This one is sedative drug. Basically, the chemical name of the compound is paraldehyde. And paraldehyde is nothing but one kind of aldehyde. One kind of aldehyde. And you see a brain preserved in a liquid. The name of the liquid is formalin. And in formalin, a chemical is present that is known as formaldehyde. That is known as formaldehyde. And formaldehyde is another example of aldehyde. So paraldehyde is one kind of aldehyde. Formaldehyde is another aldehyde. And in the right side, we have a material that is known as the nail polish remover. And in nail polish remover, it is one kind of solvent. A chemical is present here that is known as acetone. And the formula of acetone is like this. And acetone is a compound that is one type of ketone. So, dear students, we can say that aldehyde, ketone, these are the example of some organic compounds. The paraldehyde, the formaldehyde, they are the example of aldehyde. And in nail polish remover, the organic compound that is used, that is known as acetone. And acetone is another example of ketone. And we see some new organic compound. They are known as the carboxylic acid. The carboxylic acid is another example of organic compounds. In the left side, you see the container where vinegar is present. Vinegar. It is one kind of preservative. So vinegar, in vinegar, a acid is present. The name of the acid is acetic acid, CH3COOH. It is the example of carboxylic acid. This one is known as acetic acid. And another organic compound that present in the lemon, the name of the compound is citric acid. Citric acid. So dear students, this one is a carboxylic acid. It is citric acid. This one is another carboxylic acid. The name of the acid is acetic acid. So in vinegar, acetic acid is present. In lemon juice, citric acid is present. And these are the example of organic compounds. So finally, we can say that all the hydrocarbon, they are organic compound. So dear students, we can say that all the hydrocarbon, they are organic compounds. And the organic compounds like the alcohol, like the aldehyde, like the ketone, like the carboxylic acid are mainly created from hydrocarbon. So alcohol is organic compound. Alcohol is organic compound, dear students. Aldehyde is organic compound. Ketone is organic compound. Carboxylic acid, they are also organic compound. This one is alcohol. Hand sanitizer alcohol present. Methylated spirit alcohol present. The sedative drug aldehyde present. Formaldehyde aldehyde present. Nail polish remover ketone is present. Vinegar acid is present. Citric acid, lemon juice, the acid is present. So this alcohol, this aldehyde, this ketone and carboxylic acid, they are mainly created from the hydrocarbon. We can produce this compound from hydrocarbon. So these are the derivative of the hydrocarbon. These are the derivative of the hydrocarbon. So now, dear students, we have a big question, and that is, what is paleontology? Very simple. Paleontology, it is the science involved with the study of past life. And the scientist deals with the subject, they are known as paleontologist. The science involved with the study of past life, that is known as paleontology, and they are paleontologist. Now, what is fossil? What is fossil? Fossil is the preserved remains of a past organism. Fossil is the preserved remains of a past organism, like the animal, like the plant. These are the example of fossil. You see a big fish here. It is a dragonfly, and it is sort of dinosaur-like animal. These are the example of fossil. Now, what is fossil fuel. What is called fossil fuel? When a fossil used as fuel, that will be known as fossil fuel. When the fossil used as fuel, that will be known as fossil fuel. The ruins of plants and animals of ancient period which are found underground, they are basically fossil, and when the fossil used as fuel, then it will be known as fossil fuel. So dear students, uh, the remains of animals and plant bodies corresponding to hundreds of millions of years have been discovered as fossils. The example of fossils is the coal, the natural gas, and the petroleum. The coal is fossil fuel, the natural gases, they are fossil fuel, and the petroleum, they are also fossil fuel. So we can see a video clip for the better understanding of fossil fuel.
Fossil fuels. Fossil fuel is a term used to describe a group of energy sources that were formed from ancient plants and organisms during the Carboniferous period approximately 360 to 286 billion years ago, even before the age of dinosaurs. At that time, the land was covered with swamps filled with organisms. As they died, they sank to the bottom of swamps and oceans and for millions of years started decomposing under layers of sand, clay, and other minerals. Different types of fossil fuels formed depending on the combination of organic matter, temperature, time, and pressure conditions while decomposing. There are three major types of fossil fuels: coal, oil, and natural gas. Coal was formed from ferns, plants, and trees which hardened due to pressure and heat. Oil was formed from small organisms like zooplankton and algae, where pressure caused the more complex organic matter to decompose. Natural gas was formed by the same process as oil, only it was exposed to more heat and pressure, causing it to further decompose and turn into a gaseous form. Fossil fuels are sought-after energy sources because they have a high energy density. They are the world's dominant energy source. Fossil fuels have a variety of applications from electricity production to transport fuels. They can also be used to make a variety of common products, from plastics to cosmetics to even some medicines. These resources have powered industrialization over history and continue to do so today. Fossil fuels can be an abundant and cheap, or in some cases, a scarce and expensive form of energy, depending on geographic location. For this reason, geopolitical issues arise due to scarcity caused by the natural geographic allocation of these highly valuable resources. Fossil fuels are considered non-renewable resources because they take millions of years to form, which means that once they are used, the resources will not be replenished in a human lifetime. The gradual depletion of the most accessible fossil fuel reserves have forced companies to develop technologies for extracting more challenging or unconventional reserves. In many cases, this means additional safety and environmental concerns as well as higher costs. Fossil fuels are also the largest emitters of carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas which causes climate change. In addition, their production causes both environmental and human health issues. These concerns have triggered society to look at alternate sources of energy that are more environmentally sustainable and renewable. That's fossil fuels.
So dear students, I hope you understand what is fossil fuel. Now we want to see a very short video clip about fossil fuel and the formation of fossil fuel. So dear students, I hope you understand it. By watching the video, you already know about what is fossil fuel. And when we burn the fuel, then we will get energy. Like when we burn the coal or carbon, then carbon react with oxygen, produce carbon dioxide. And also some heat is produced here. So using the heat uh, in the heat engine, we can convert the heat energy into some mechanical energy so that we can run the car, we can run the vehicle, we can run our industry, and also we can produce electricity. Now, if we consider another fossil fuel like natural gas where methane is present, and when we burn the methane, it will react with oxygen and produce carbon dioxide and H2O, and also some heat is produced. And using this heat energy, we can do so many mechanical work. And if we consider the petroleum, in petroleum, a long chain hydrocarbon will be present, and their formula will be like this, like C8H18. And when we burn the petroleum, it will convert it into carbon dioxide and also water, and also it provides us some heat energy. And using this heat energy, we can do so many mechanical work. So we have a question here. And what is the question? What is the source of this energy? What is the source of this energy? From where the energy stored in carbon, stored in methane, and stored in the petroleum? Okay, students, I can tell you, I can share my whiteboard. Dear students, you see, this is our planet. This is our planet Earth, and this is the source of all energy. This one is sun. And when the sunlight come here, then the plant, the plant using the sunlight, using the light energy by photosynthesis process, they produce food. Then this energy trapped in this food. And when animal take this food, then the energy enter the body of the animal, right? And when the plant or the animal dies, then they will turn into fossil. If the optimum condition create, they will turn into fossil. And this energy that come out from the sun that present in their body, like the animal body or the plant body turn into natural gas, coal, and this energy will be present in their body, right, dear students? So the sun is the main source of all energy, and when the sun gives light, then the plant that live in the earth, they absorb the energy, and they, just by photosynthesis process, they produce the carbohydrate, the food, and the energy trap into the food. And when animal take food, then the energy just come out the animal body. And when the animal dies, then their body, when turn into fossil, then the energy remain in their body, in the carbon, in the methane. So it is the way how the energy transferred in carbon, in methane, or in fossil fuel. Dear
Sir,
students,
I have a question, sir.
yes, you can ask me.
Sir, as long as an animal is alive, it is not dead. Is the energy still stored in its body?
Yes, yes, of course. And when the animal die, then that energy will also remain in his body, because we have cell, and in the cell so many molecule is present, and the molecule store the energy that come from the sunlight. Okay, dear
Thank you, sir.
students, thank you very much for your question. Now, Now we want to discuss about natural gas. What is natural gas? Natural gas is the example of fossil fuel. It is a mixture of some hydrocarbon. It is a mixture of some hydrocarbon. The hydrocarbon which have very less molecular mass, the very simple structure. The hydrocarbon that is present in natural gas, they are methane, CH4. It is the formula of methane. Ethane, the formula of ethane is C2H6. Propane, the formula of propane is C3H8. Butane, the formula of butane is C4H10. Isobutane, the formula of isobutane is CH3, CH, CH3, and CH3. And some pentane present here. Pentane has formula C5 and H12. So what we see here, uh, natural gas is the mixture of some hydrocarbon, and the composition of natural gas is methane, ethane, propane, butane. This one is called, dear students, isobutane, and this one is pentane. So these are the hydrocarbon present in natural gas. And if we consider their percentage, most of the component that present in natural gas, they are methane. 80% methane present in natural gas, and 7% ethane present here. 6% propane will be present here, and butane and isobutane totally 4%, and some pentane, very little amount of pentane present in natural gas, and that is only 3%. And the quality of natural gas depends on the composition of methane or percentage of methane present in the natural gas. When more methane present in natural gas, the quality of the natural gas uh, will be more rich. So in Bangladesh, we are very lucky. In Bangladesh, our natural gas contain 99.99% methane. 99.99% methane. So dear students, what is natural gas? Natural gas is nothing but the mixture of some hydrocarbon. The hydrocarbon that present in natural gas, they are methane, they are ethane, they are propane, they are butane, they are isobutane, and some pentane present in natural gas. And most of the hydrocarbon, they are methane. Now dear students, we want to discuss about the constituent of petroleum and their separation process. So what is petroleum? My first question is, what is petroleum? Petroleum is nothing but the mixture of different type of hydrocarbon. Petroleum is nothing but the mixture of different type of hydrocarbon. Different type of hydrocarbon. It is a mixture of different type of hydrocarbon. And this petroleum is generally available 5,000 feet or even deeper into the layer of rocks, right? 5,000 feet or even deeper into the layer of rock. So what is the meaning of petroleum? Petroleum is basically the general term that we use for oil and natural gas. The word petroleum comes from the Latin root petra. Petra means rock and oleum means oil. So the oil that we collect from the rock, they are known as petroleum. Now another question from petroleum, what is crude oil? What is crude oil? Crude oil. The answer is the petroleum that is directly obtained from the oil, that is known as crude oil. It is basically the unrefined petroleum. So crude oil is nothing but the unrefined petroleum. We have to refine it, then we will produce so many important fuel from the crude oil. So the petroleum that is directly obtained from the oil, that is known as crude oil, and it is basically the unrefined petroleum. And it is not transparent. It is a highly viscous liquid, and this crude oil is known as black gold. This this petroleum is known as black gold. It is known as black gold. Why it is called black gold? Dear students, you see the price of the crude petroleum. One barrel petroleum means 42 gallons. 42 gallons. One barrel is equal 42 gallons. And 1 gallon is near about 3.785 liters. So 1 barrel is equal to 100, near about 159 liters, 159 liters. And the price of the crude oil is 1 barrel crude oil. It is 40 to $60. Now, for Corona situation, the price day by day it is decreased, but normally the price of crude oil is 40 to $60. So it is called black gold. Now another question from the petroleum, and that is, what is the reason of the bad smell of crude oil? Crude oil has a very bad smell. The reason for the bad smell of the crude oil is some sulfur compound, present with crude oil, and the compound is basically responsible for the bad smell is H2S. H2S is nothing but, dear students, it is hydrogen sulfide. H2S, hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide present with crude oil, and that create the bad smell. Now, dear students, we see apparatus. We want to separate the different component of the crude oil. To separate the component from the crude oil, different type of hydrocarbon present in the crude oil, present in the crude petroleum, and we want to separate different component from the crude oil or crude petroleum. Then we have to apply some process. You see apparatus here, and in the apparatus, this apparatus is known as round bottom flux. It is a round bottom flux, round bottom flux. And in the flux, two liquid is present. Suppose one liquid is C, another one is D. And as they are liquid, so they have boiling point, and the difference of their boiling point is more than 40 degrees Celsius. Suppose C has boiling point 60 degrees Celsius and D has boiling point 120 degrees Celsius. So their boiling point is different. So when you apply heat, then the volatile liquid like C, which has low boiling point, it will vaporize fast. And this one is a condenser, and condenser just turn the vapor into a liquid. So we can separate these, we can separate C and D, these are two liquid, and we can separate these two liquid from their mixture by this process. And this process is known as, dear students, distillation. Distillation. So distillation is a very simple process for the separation of different liquid whose boiling point difference is more than 40 degrees Celsius. Now another distillation process. This one is a complicated process. You see a round bottom flux here, and let us consider two liquid present in the flux. One is A and another one is B. And dear students, the difference of their boiling point is less than, the difference of their boiling point is less than 30 degrees Celsius. Less than 30 degrees Celsius or less than 25 degrees Celsius. We can consider, just we can consider for the better separation process, we can consider 25 degrees Celsius. So we have two liquid present in a mixture. Two liquid or more than two liquid can be present here, and they have different boiling point. And let us consider the difference of their boiling point is less than 25 degrees Celsius. That means their boiling point is very closer. So when heat is applied, both of the liquid will be vaporized. So we cannot separate them. So we have to take another new initiative here. We have to set a new apparatus, and the name of the apparatus is fractionating column. So it is a round bottom flux. We have to apply heat here, and we have to set a new apparatus here, and this one is known as fractionating column. And we have to set a thermometer here, and also we have a condenser here. So when heat is applied, the liquid which has very low boiling point, that will vaporize fast, and also another liquid that will also vaporize. So here the A liquid, let us consider the boiling point is 90 degrees Celsius, and B liquid, its boiling point is 110 degrees Celsius. So A is more volatile than B because it has low boiling point. So when we apply heat, then A will vaporize. A will vaporize with full speed, and some portion of B will be vaporized. And this fractionating column will separate them. How? This fractionating column, like a condenser, just they just make the reduce the temperature of the liquid. Try to reduce the temperature of the liquid, fractionating column like this. This one is a fractionating column. So when A and B, both of them enter this bulb is behave like a condenser. That means it is a cooling agent. This one can reduce the temperature. So when A and B, uh, both of the material, both of the component enter this bulb in the fractionating column, then the percentage of A, that may be 80%, and 20% B will be in the bulb. So again, all the A will move forward and they come here, but the B, which has less boiling point, they will condense and they come back because the condenser make it liquid and then it will again come back from in the mixture. So finally here you see 95% A and maybe 5% B will be present here. Then again uh, the bulb condense the component as it has boiling point. This one vaporize its boiling temperature. So here 100% A will come and no B will be reach here because its boiling point is high. We provided a temperature that is low temperature. So at that temperature, this B will not reach in this bulb. So finally, here only one component will be reached. And let us consider it is a condenser convert the gaseous material into liquid material. So finally, we had a mixture where A and B were present. When heat is applied, as the difference of the boiling point is very closer, so both of the chemical were vaporized, but one chemical finally come back in the round bottom flux, and another one just uh, enter the condenser and turn into liquid. So this process is known as fraction distillation process. So using the fraction distillation process, we can separate the liquid whose boiling point is very closer. Whose boiling point is below 25 degree. So difference of boiling point is below 25 degrees Celsius. If the difference of boiling point is below 25 degrees Celsius, then we can separate them using fraction distillation process. So dear students, we can uh, see a video clip to learn more about fraction distillation.
Bonds of the two liquids are very close, then simple distillation does not work. In that case, a fractionating column is used, which in flow tube provides obstructions to the passage of the vapors upwards and to the passage of liquid downwards. The mixture of liquids A and B with 370 Kelvin and 380 Kelvin boiling points, respectively, is present in the flask. On heating the flask, the vapors obtained are more of A and less of B. As the vapors rise up in the fractionating column, the partially condensed liquid flows down. The vapors of B condense faster as compared to A, and the vapors moving up richer in A. The condensed liquid flowing down strikes the vapor and it consumes molecules of B. This process is repeated throughout the fractionating column, due to which the vapors escaping through the top of the column are almost of A, and the liquid left in the flask almost of B.
So dear students, hope you understand it. Now in the petroleum industries, how we can refine the crude petroleum, we can see the process. Okay, dear students. Now we want to see the very sophisticated crude petroleum refining industry in America.
From the outside, an oil refinery looks like a small city. A city composed of pipes, tanks, and towers. But if you went inside, you might be surprised to find one of the most technologically advanced industries in the United States. Here, engineers and scientists have figured out how to turn raw crude oil into the valuable metals, lubricants, and components we need to make millions of products. Refining begins with a process called distilling. After oil is superheated, it becomes vapor. The vapor is fed into the distillation line. As it rises and cools, vapor turns back into a liquid. Using stacks of trays, the liquid is easily collected and separated by weight. The lighter and medium liquids required in this process to be used in cars and trucks. The heavier liquids need more processing than others. A process called cracking is used to maximize the usefulness of heavy oil. Heavy oil has long strings of hydrogen molecules. Using a catalyst, these molecules can be broken into smaller chains, transforming the heavy oil into lighter, more valuable minerals. Reforming is a process that increases the amount of gasoline produced from crude oil. One of the products secondary to the distilling process is a liquid called naphtha. The number of carbon atoms in naphtha is about the same as the number found in gasoline, but their structure is more complex. Reforming rearranges the naphtha molecule, turning it into a usable gasoline-like molecule. Blending is a process of mixing different refined products to make finished petroleum products. Gasoline, for example, is blended to achieve octane standards, creating the grades of gasoline you see at the pump, regular, liquid, that are necessary to meet the needs of specific engine types. Treating is a process used to produce cleaner gasoline, which helps protect both the environment and our health. Gasoline molecules containing impurities like sulfur can be removed. When the molecules are heated and come in contact with a special catalyst, a chemical reaction occurs that strips the sulfur away. These sulfur compounds are used as fertilizers and in pharmaceuticals. Nothing goes to waste in refining.
So, dear students, I hope you enjoyed the video. So, finally, what we have learned from the video, the answer is very simple. This one is the source of crude petroleum. When heat is applied, then on the basis of their different boiling point, they will be separated in this fractionating column. This fractionating column is used in the refinery. On the basis of their different boiling point, different material or substance will be separated. At 20 degrees Celsius temperature, petroleum gas will come out. At 70 degrees Celsius temperature, we just get gasoline. At 120 degrees Celsius, we get naphtha, which has different composition. At 170 degrees Celsius temperature, we get kerosene. 270 degrees Celsius temperature, we get diesel oil. And 340 degrees Celsius temperature, we get lubricating oil. And more temperature, like 340 degrees Celsius, greater than 340 degrees Celsius temperature, we get a very long chain hydrocarbon. They are known as bitumen. Now, we want to discuss about the detail of this separating substance. At first, the petroleum gas. The petroleum gas, when we run the fraction distillation process at 0 to 20 degrees Celsius temperature, then we get this part. And in this part, the hydrocarbon present with carbon 1 to carbon 4, this hydrocarbon will be present. And the petroleum contains 2% petroleum gas, and when we apply pressure, then it will turn into liquid, and it is called LPG. LPG means the liquefied petroleum gas. The liquefied petroleum gas, and this gas is used for cooking purposes. So it is known as cooking gas. Now, dear students, petrol. Petrol is very, very important for you. What is petrol and what is gasoline? Petrol and gasoline, both of them are same. Petrol and gasoline, they are same. Petrol or gasoline, there is nothing but the mixture of some hydrocarbon, whose composition is C5 to C10. C5 to C10. So C5 means C5H12 pentane, and C10 means C10H22 decan. So pentane to decan, pentane, hexane, heptane, octane, nonane, decan, these hydrocarbon present in petrol. At 21 to 70 degrees Celsius temperature, when we run the fraction distillation process, then the liquid mixture will be separated. That is known as petrol, or that is known as gasoline. And the whole amount of petroleum, only 5% is petrol. And we use gasoline or petrol as fuel in vehicle. Now, the third one, that is known as naphtha. Naphtha is the mixture of some hydrocarbon, and here the cyclic hydrocarbon is present. Most of them are aromatic hydrocarbon. The boiling point is 71 to 120 degree Celsius, and the composition of naphtha is 7 to 14 carbon. So 7 to 14 carbon hydrocarbon present in naphtha, and in the petroleum 10% of naphtha present. And this one is used as this one is a very important substance, and this one is used in petrochemical industries. This one is used as a solvent. Also, we can use naphtha as fuel. Now, another substance that is known as kerosene. What is kerosene? Kerosene is the mixture of hydrocarbon, but the composition of carbon is 11 to 16. The hydrocarbon which contain carbon number 11 to 16, they are known as kerosene. And kerosene is another fuel that is used in the jet engine. Now, diesel. Diesel is another hydrocarbon mixture where the composition is 17 to 20. Very large number of carbon present, the long chain hydrocarbon present in diesel. And this one is another fuel, and we can use diesel as lubricant. And the final, that is known as paraffin wax. Paraffin wax, where the composition is C20 to C30, like C21. This one is the example of paraffin wax. It is a solid substance, and we used paraffin wax for the production of toiletries and Vaseline. So the last part, when the number of carbon is more than 30, that will be very highly viscous substance, and that is known as pitch. And pitch is used for the road construction. Dear students, I hope you understand what is crude petroleum and how we can separate the different part of petroleum using fraction distillation process, and what is the composition of these different parts. Some of them are known as LPG, some of them are known as gasoline, kerosene. Uh, they have different name, they have different composition, they have different boiling point, they have different uses. Now, dear students, a homework for you. The question is, you are given 10 gram natural gas. You are given 10 gram natural gas. How many methane molecule present there? Dear students, you are given 10 gram natural gas. How many methane molecule present there? So students, uh, these are the this one is the problem. You try to solve the problem and you can submit it. We try to check it. And now, if you have any question, you can ask. Dear students, if you have any question, you can ask regarding today's topics. Okay, dear students, this all for today. So any one of you can ask question, you can ask.
Sir, what is fossil fuel?
Yes, please students.
Hello.
Huh.
Sir, can you get a preview of all the previous slides?
Okay, sure. This slide. This.
Sir, from first to last.
Oh, sure.
No, it's better that you should note down the slide number.
Yes.
So this is the very first class, and we need to know very much.
Where you have problem, you can ask me, dear students.
Sir, can we see the formula of citric acid?
Yes, sure.
Thank you, sir.
It is the formula of citric acid. Citric acid is a carboxylic acid, and you see how many carbon atom present here. This one is a carboxyl radical. Carboxyl group is present here, so it is a carboxylic acid. And this one is the example of organic compound. All the carboxylic acid, they are the example of organic compound, and this citric acid present in lemon juice. Okay, students. Then so students, if yes. So students, if you have no question, then okay, you can ask me a question next time. So this all for today. Wish you good luck. Assalamu alaikum.
Sir, for
Wasim
today,
sir unmute
our
করেন
class is over.
So can we leave?
The class is over. You all can leave. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for giving us the permission to leave to perform salah.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam.